Okay, so our next story is very upsetting, as a lot of the news these days is. So Israel, not content with all the people they murdered the first time, came back to Al-Shifa Hospital on March 18th, and they left predictable devastation and death in their wake. So let's take a look at this that was put together by TRT World. So, Israeli troops end Al-Shifa hospital raid, leaving behind bodies and trail of destruction. Israel's military has withdrawn from Gaza's largest hospital, Al-Shifa, after a 14-day siege that witnesses and Palestinian officials say has left buildings largely destroyed and bodies strewn across the complex. The Israel Defense Forces confirmed its withdrawal Monday, saying its troops had killed Hamas militants and seized weaponry and intelligence documents. Wow. Didn't we hear that the first time? And it turned out They were showing you whiteboards that were like the staff rotation at the hospital. They were telling you these were Hamas command structures. The terrorist base in Shifa has been eliminated. Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant said Monday, praising the IDF's determined and professional action. He's the one who said Gaza should be wiped out or something, right? He's the one who said human animals. Human animals. That's the quote he's most famous for. I'm not doubting that he said the other thing too. That's it. You got to buy his album to get his greatest genocidal hits, but that was one of them. Medical crews are working to recover hundreds of bodies scattered across the grounds at Al-Shifa, with at least 300 bodies found so far, according to Gaza's civil defense. Determining the precise number of people killed is difficult, it added, because Israeli troops had buried bodies inside and around the complex and bulldozed nearby roads. Wow, Keaton, that sounds like those stories you hear out of World War II, right? I'm not saying which army, just right. There are a lot of stories like that. Raed al-Dashan, director of operations at Gaza's civil defense, told CNN it is almost impossible for ambulances to reach the hospital due to damaged roads in the city. IDF spokesman Rear Admiral Daniel Hagari said 900 suspected militants had been detained during its 2-week operation. More than 500 of these had been identified as members of Hamas or Palestinian Islamic Jihad, Hagari said Monday, adding some of those detained are commanders and significant people. CNN is unable to verify the numbers of bodies inside Al-Shifa independently because of the lack of reporting access in Gaza. CNN has reached out to the IDF on these figures but is yet to hear back. Gaza's Ministry of Health said about 3,000 people were inside the hospital when the IDF began its raid on March 18th, its second on the facility in nearly 6 months of war with Hamas. After claiming its first operation in November had been a success, the IDF in January said it had completely dismantled Hamas's command structure in northern Gaza, only for Hamas reportedly to return to the same site months later, sparking a renewed Israeli assault. Kader al-Zanun, a journalist from the official Palestinian news agency Wafa, also working for CNN, said the scene at Al-Shifa after the IDF's withdrawal was like a horror movie. Bulldozers crushed bodies of people everywhere around and in the yard of the hospital, al-Zanon said. Palestinians began arriving at the destroyed complex to search for missing family members. Quote, "We found entire families dead and their bodies are decomposed in houses around the hospital," he said. Palestinians began arriving at the Military vehicles are firing at the hospital building's windows and at anyone who was caught moving between the hallways. Hamada Abdalabi, a displaced Palestinian man sheltering at Al-Shifa, told CNN in March. Civilian buildings like hospitals are protected under international humanitarian law, but can lose their protected status if they are used to commit acts harmful to the enemy. Israel has for years said Hamas fighters use mosques, hospitals, and other civilian buildings to hide from Israeli attacks and launch their own. Hamas has repeatedly denied the claims. The IDF,
so what they're basically saying is they're basically just allowing Israel to redefine international law in their case, because they're saying, well, yeah, Hamas uses the hospitals, Hamas uses the mosques, Hamas uses civilian infrastructure, right? Therefore, it's not civilian infrastructure. Therefore, nothing is off limits.
Got us.
It's coming right at us. Exactly. It's coming right at us.
Anything that they want to murder, they call Hamas. Anything they want to define as anti-Semitic, they call Hamas. Anything that is not in their interests, they define as Hamas. It's all Hamas. It's all Hamas, and when it's not Hamas, it's Hamas aligned. It's anti-Semitism.
And most people probably know this, but just in case there are those watching who don't, Al-Shifa is in Gaza City, which is in the north, which was supposedly already cleared out.
Right.
So when Netanyahu was trying to make the case for a Rafah ground invasion, he said, well, there's not no place for people to go. They can go back up north since we've already cleared those areas out. And yet here they are again.
Well, and look at how they've normalized war crimes and atrocity, because if you remember 6 months ago, Israel, no, we didn't bomb the hospital. We didn't bomb the hospital. We wouldn't do that. No, it was an errant rocket from Hamas that it thought. This is the same hospital.
Right, same hospital. But they're now saying is a Hamas center.
Look what they did to this hospital. They were saying it was a Hamas center then. But now it's just been such a constant stream of war crimes that they don't feel like they have to explain it beyond Hamas was there.
Right.
And they got caught lying about the evidence the first time.
Right.
And they're still going to come out and say, yeah, no, Hamas was there. Based on what? Where's your evidence?
They haven't shown, they have not shown anything. The Washington Post said there was no real evidence to back up what they said the first time. And now they're not giving figures here. That paragraph that CNN put in there about, a civilian target can lose its protected status if it's used by the enemy to harm the enemy in war. Would we settle for that? If a domestic terrorist shacked up in an American hospital, would we be okay with the American government going in, laying siege on the hospital, killing hundreds of people in the hospital, turning off electricity in the hospital, setting snipers outside across the street from the hospital saying shoot anything that moves in the hospital, whether it's a terrorist, a doctor, a mom, or a child? No, of course we would not be okay with that. So it's not surprising that paragraph is in the article. But when you ask yourself, would we be okay with our military laying siege upon an American hospital just because there was a terrorist inside? Of course not. It's not even a question.
They left behind mass graves the first time when they attacked Al-Shifa. If you remember, we covered that. I think we covered it on Jimmy's show. There was video of them uncovering mass graves. And according to this, they did it again. They're leaving behind mass graves and bodies in the rubble. It's just, these are the things that you read in these nations that we would be screaming to the heavens about the human rights abuses. And this is an ally. And we're sending them more bombs. We're sending them bombs of a type that are designed to level entire areas in a place that we know is primarily civilians. The IDF said its troops had killed terrorists in close quarters encounters, located numerous weapons and intelligence documents throughout the hospital while preventing harm to civilians, patients, and medical teams. All right, folks, so if you have access to X, you can go on there and see some of the videos of these starving and dead and maimed civilians left behind, including children. Jimmy actually shared a video, it wasn't Al-Shifa, but of the IDF executing an old man with his hands in the air. This is as horrific as almost any war crime committed against a civilian population in world history. And it just keeps on compounding. And it's just horrible. It stressed its operations in and around the hospital were a precise anti-terror mission, and that it had done its utmost to minimize civilian harm. International organizations have condemned the siege, with World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom Ghebreyesus, that's the best I'm doing there, warning that hospitals should never be battlegrounds. WHO and other humanitarian groups had been warning of an ever-nearing famine in northern Gaza. By late March, 70% of the population was suffering with catastrophic levels of hunger, according to a UN-backed report. All 2.2 million people in Gaza do not have enough food to eat, with half of the population on the brink of starvation and famine projected to arrive in the north, quote, anytime between mid-March and May 2024, according to the Integrated Food Security Phase Classification. You understand what's going to start happening over the next few weeks? You're not looking at thousands. You're not looking at tens of thousands. You're looking at hundreds of thousands of people are going to die over the next 2 months if something is not done. And it doesn't look like anyone's going to do anything unless, going back to the bombing of the embassy, unless this erupts into World War III, literally. Certainly Israel and the United States is not going to do anything to prevent this famine. Eden?
No, I don't have anything. I think is that all you got?
Well, I just want to point out, to put a button on it, that Israel's making these claims about how they know Hamas is there. And I want you to remember last time, this is Jackson Hinkle posted this, CNN analysis video suggests IDF might have rearranged weaponry at Al-Shifa prior to news crew visits. So you might remember this. You can look up the video pretty easily. CNN did a follow-up story showing how Israel had doctored the evidence, including, I believe, that whiteboard thing is in it. So you can't believe anything that these people say. Just because they claim Hamas is there doesn't mean Hamas was there. And certainly, I mean, it's just so sick looking at that footage, looking at the scale of the destruction, that they have the balls to tell people it was a surgical strike where they took every pain to avoid civilian casualties. Well, you're pretty fucking bad at it then.
Yeah, and you're in a hospital, right? You have IDF soldiers on the ground in the hospital. It's not like you drop a bomb from the air.
Right.
So why are there any civilian casualties then?
Right.
You have people on the ground in there.
Right.
Right? We've heard reports, we've heard reports of really horrible stuff happening, which I don't even want to say on this air. But we know that people were shot at point blank range in there. And if you look at some of the findings, you have people with hands tied behind their backs. I mean, it's just unthinkable stuff. And so, yeah, it's pretty obvious that their word is not to be trusted ever again, not just in the context of this conflict, but ever again.
We can only hope that some miracle saves the Palestinian people, and that the people doing this to them are tried for their crimes one day, the way that they need to be. And with that, to you, Misha.
They found a rabbi hole, tunnels and all. There's Jews in the walls. Isn't it bliss? The rabbinical bris, soiling the mattresses. Well, let me tell you. If I were Rabbi Shmuley and diddle 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 digga digga diddle diddle dum, all day long I'd diddle little bums. If I were a Shmuley man, I'd peddle all my dildos, dreidel dildos, selling dildos with my daughter and her mum. If I were a Jewish Shmuley man, I'd be digging with a dildo in my bum. I'd wear a grotesque nose and go grab some goyim right on the nipple with a pinch. A Shabbos lap dance brace for the youngest mensch.
On a scale of 1 to 10, how much do you hate shitty coffee? I, for one, really hate shitty coffee, which is why I'm excited to introduce to you a company that's revolting against shitty coffee, and it's called the 1775 Coffee Company. Now, I haven't had it yet because I only drink decaf. Steph has had it. Steph, how do you like it?
I really like it. You know what? I have a French press, and so I've been using my French press and totally enjoying it. It's delicious. It's smooth. It's smooth.
So 1775, the world awakened. In 1775, the world awakened to a new era. And now it's 1775 Coffee Company is bringing you a coffee that embodies that revolutionary spirit. Crafted with passion and precision, our beans are ethically and exclusively sourced from the finest coffee beans farms of Bolivia. Didn't know that. 1775 Coffee Company's farm-to-cup journey ensures the highest quality of authenticity and sustainability from start to finish. With each sip, your palate will recognize and appreciate the dedication and passion that goes into crafting this single-sourced brew. 1775 Coffee Company takes pride in offering customers a truly exceptional coffee experience with their premium coffee collection. But their dedication to this revolution extends beyond the realm of taste. Safeguarding freedom of speech is critical right now, which is why 1775 Coffee Company has joined forces with Rumble in defense of one of our most fundamental rights, freedom of speech. Coffee that's sure to awaken all your senses, including the sense of freedom. So choose 1775 Coffee by going to 1775coffee.com/litter. That's LITTER, and use the code LITTER for 10% off the checkout on your first order. 1775 Coffee, brewed to perfection, crafted with revolution.
Hey, thanks for checking out our YouTube channel. Subscribe by clicking on that button down there for more AM Joy and the rest of MSNBC. And click on any of the videos right here to watch the latest interviews and highlights. And you can get more videos from MSNBC for free every day with our newsletter. Just visit